Hello, this is Susan from Mystic Artistry Podcast. This is a space for storytelling, reflection, creativity, nature, and intuition. A place where we slow down, become a little more aware, and listen closely for what is quietly unfolding within us. Today, I want to talk about gold. Not just gold as a material, but what it does, how it feels, and why, for some reason, it stays with us. I've always been drawn to painting with gold, even before gold leaf comes into it. When I paint with the color gold, I notice something shifts in me. I have to slow down. It doesn't feel like I'm just applying a color. It feels like I'm working with something that has a body, a movement, almost a presence of its own, more so than any other color. And I think part of this is because of its luminosity. It already carries a kind of dimension, a subtle three-dimensional quality, even before anything is layered on top of it. It does not sit flat. It shifts, it responds. It almost feels as if it's moving as you look at it. And because of that, I can't rush it. I have to meet it in a slower pace. And when I work with gold leaf, that feeling deepens even more. It is so delicate. It can tear, shift, or disappear with the slightest movement. Even your breath matters. You can't rush it. You can't force it. And I think that's part of why I love it. Because it asks something of me. Presence, care, attention. And maybe there are moments in our lives like that too. Moments so subtle, so fleeting, that if we're not paying attention, they pass right through us. But what fascinates me most isn't just placing the gold. It's what comes after. I cover it with resin. And that act feels like a decision, a quiet knowing this matters. This is worth preserving. And when I seal it, something shifts. The gold deepens. It becomes more luminous, more dimensional. It doesn't just shine, it lingers. And I think about that, how in life, we don't just experience things, we choose, consciously or not, what we carry forward, what we hold, what we seal. Because once it's sealed, the gold doesn't just reflect light, it holds it differently. Depending on where you stand, how the light hits it, it reveals something new. And isn't that true of certain experiences? They don't fade, they change. They soften or deepen, or catch us off guard years later in a completely different light. Some things in our lives become like that gold. Not always visible, but when the light finds them, they glow. There's also something else, something quieter, almost hidden in plain sight. Gold doesn't just look the way it does by accident. Most metals reflect light evenly, which is why they appear silver or white. But gold is different. It absorbs the blue and green parts of the light and reflects back the warmer tones, the yellows, the ambers, that soft, almost honeyed light. So what we're seeing isn't just gold itself. It's what gold chooses to give back. And when I cover it with resin, the light doesn't just bounce. It moves through layers. It refracts. It lingers before it reaches your eye. That's where the sense of depth comes in. And I can't help but think how much of what we see in art, in people, in memory, isn't just about what's there, but about what is reflected back to us and what is quietly absorbed just out of sight. I've noticed something else in my work. I'm always drawn to placing gold against something dark, black, or a midnight blue, something that holds weight, something that feels like depth. Because gold on its own is beautiful, but against the dark, it comes alive. It disrupts it. It breaks through. It doesn't erase the darkness. It needs it. And when I look at other paintings, I'm always drawn to the ones that use gold this way. There's an emotional tone to it. It feels warm, mystical, like something ancient is being revealed for just a moment. And I think that contrast, that meeting of light and dark, is where the real depth comes from. Because maybe the gold isn't meant to exist without the darkness. Maybe it's there because of it. There's a philosophy I've always been drawn to, a Japanese practice called Kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold, not to hide the fracture, but to illuminate it. The cracks are traced, honored, made part of the piece itself. And I think about that when I work with gold, because it isn't just about beauty. It's about what we choose to reveal, the places that didn't disappear, but instead learned how to hold the light. We think of alchemy as turning something into gold, but maybe it's not about changing what something is. Maybe it's about seeing it differently, allowing it to become something that can carry light, not in spite of what it's been through, but because of it. If you were to look back at your own life, what would you seal in gold? Not to relive it, but to honor it. A moment, a feeling, something that, when the light hits it just right, still shines. Before we close, there's something you might try if it calls to you. Take a small piece of gold, a ring, a necklace, and step outside into the sunlight. Hold it in your hand and just watch it. Notice how the light moves across it, how it shifts, how it almost feels alive for a moment. And maybe, just for a few seconds, let yourself feel what it is about that draws you in. Not the value, not what it means, just the way it holds the light. And maybe quietly ask yourself, what in me holds light like this one? Maybe it's not just the gold. Maybe it's the way we learn to see, what we choose to hold, what we allow to remain, what we let keep its light. And maybe that's its own kind of gold. If you feel drawn to explore this a little more, I've created a gentle guided reflection and a simple worksheet you can move through at your own pace. You can find these in the show notes if it feels like something you want or need. As always, I am listening.